Alrighty, welcome back everyone, it is LaughNgamez here. Today we're back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. Today we have ourselves a Protoss versus Zerg on the map Cactus Valley. You might recognize the map as an older Starcraft map, as there's recently been a new Starcraft ladder season, and with that Blizzard brought back Cactus Valley, which is a map from towards the end of Heart of the Swarm. So a little old, but we're going to see how it plays out between these two players. So the first, spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, the blue Protoss player playing for Team Storm, it is PiLiPiLi. And his opponent, the red Zerg, also on Team Storm, JonSnow. So we have two very solid players here. So it's going to be a great matchup here, as their styles, these are two top North American players. I mean, they're both known to be incredibly solid when you think of the top North American players. As far as I'm aware, at least, you think of PiLiPiLi, JonSnow, and then of course there's a lot of other great players, but when you think of the players that are just consistent in the NA scene, it is these two, known as being at the top. So, as far as this matchup goes, it is a Protoss versus Zerg here, and we're actually seeing a double gate opening for PiLiPiLi here. Now, this is sort of a bit of a throwback. Now, PiLiPiLi is a Protoss player, as far as I'm aware. He's been known to be quite aggressive at times, to sort of go for big attacks, things like that. And JonSnow is known to be a Zerg player who goes sort of macro, but he can sort of play unique styles, as far as I'm aware. So, and it is the map Cactus Valley, so Zergs can macro very well. However, if you remember back in Heart of the Swarm, Protoss would go for very strong attacks, since force fields can be very strong in this map, but now the Zerg has Ravagers, so things have changed a lot. But it is going to tend to drift towards macro in this game, at least for the start, before the players really decide what they're doing. So just a standard double gateway for PiLiPiLi. I guess he wanted to get at these two adepts while being safely and expanding after that. And a double adept opening is sort of a bit of a throwback to early on in Legacy of the Void. As if a Zerg player isn't aware, like sometimes we'll see Zerg players are well aware of the two adept opening, but it's sort of fallen out of the meta a little bit. So Protoss players sort of started doing it, and then they stopped doing it for a bit. And PiLiPiLi, one of these players who will throw it out now and again. And if a Zerg player is not prepared for this, they can lose quite a few drones here, and those can be very significant losses. PiLiPiLi at least forcing JonSnow to make some lings. He did scout that with an Overlord, I believe, so he's aware that it's coming. Getting these lings for safety. Now, PiLiPiLi is aware that JonSnow is trying to get up this third base. A few lings actually being distracted by this probe, and now the Adepts are going to move in, going to see if they can get any workers here. The Shade's actually sitting at the top of the ramp. They actually needed to move forward, so a bit of a mistake by PiLiPiLi here. And these Adepts are going to pay the price here. Their shields are gone. They're going to start getting chipped away. These lings are slow, so these Adepts are just slowly trying to run away off creep. Very smart for PiLiPiLi to be doing that, but not getting too much damage as he would have liked. JonSnow just getting up the third base. The Adepts not quite getting it. And ling speed is going to finish up for these Zerglings soon, so these Adepts might get killed, but he might actually shave off all these lings before. This one Adept getting so low and actually going down, so one of these Adepts for a couple, well, both of those Adepts actually went down, so two Adepts for 8 lings and a drone. Not the best pick off, but PiLiPiLi does have a Nexus behind this, so he will be safe. He's got that solid wall up, and now he's going into double Stargate. So when I said before at the start of this cast, PiLiPiLi can sort of go for some odd stuff, this is a pretty good example of it. It's not like this is a completely unorthodox strategy, but PiLiPiLi is sort of one of the guys who will sort of gravitate to playing styles, which they're certainly known and tested styles, but he will sort of throw out some of the more play style that's out there, I guess is the way to put it. But anyway, we see JonSnow with his Zerglings. He's now got the map control here. These Phoenix, well, assumably Phoenix. Protoss player have been liking to go for Stargates and carriers, but obviously not super early carriers will PiLiPiLi be going for. Most likely Phoenix anyway. Actually an Oracle here to start out. Protoss players can go, so going to be a double Oracle for PiLiPiLi, double Chronode Oracle, so if these do Oracles, and it's not exactly a super long flight to the top, he may be able to get great drone damage done, but we're going to have to see what he'll follow this up. And now JonSnow, this is his sort of decisiveness coming out. He's going for 11 Roaches, so it is going to be a Roach attack, it looks like. A likely Roach Ravager, and this is quite an early attack. At the 5-minute mark, he's moving out. I guess he knows that PiLiPiLi is going to be committing to some sort of tech behind this. so he can just sort of be prepared. JonSnow did move in, got a scout on the gas, so maybe he's assuming that there's multiple gases and PiLiPiLi's going for something like this. So these two oracles, these adepts are actually going to run forward, just get slaughtered by these roaches, these lings getting on top of them right away. These two oracles are going to move out. PiLiPiLi might choose to attack these units, and he actually is. Oracles are actually incredibly good versus Ravagers when it comes to picking them off. Roaches, very tanky, Ravagers, a bit weaker, so Oracles can't actually do damage to them. It's not often you see this happening, but PiLiPiLi making the choice not to go for counter damage. He's using these Oracles to clean up these Roaches. He's got two Void Rays being Chrono Boosted out. Photon Overcharge is trying to hold the lines, but this one pylon is going to go down. One of the gateways unpowered, the other one's actually going to get unpowered. Photon Overcharge going down for a bit, but ultimately it is going to fall, repowered quickly by these two pylons, finishing up by PiLiPiLi, but he is supply blocked now. Ling's trying to force through, but this is a very good wall for PiLiPiLi, still holding strong in the mothership core, the few adepts trying to hang on, and now the two Void Rays are here. Prismatic alignment picking off these roaches very quickly, however now the Lings are getting on top of the probe, and PiLiPiLi actually doing that worker drill to clean up those Lings. He does take a pretty significant loss there. 9 probes, but JonSnow committed very heavily to this attack, so while 9 probes is something that a pro player doesn't want to see, PiLiPiLi is hanging on here, and he's held off this attack. JonSnow is going to have to go back into drones, or maybe try and get some damage done another way. He committed to all these Zerglings, but there's Void Rays, Oracles, and a solid wall off for PiLiPiLi, so he effectively held this attack. PiLiPiLi also having these two Oracles here. He can always pick off some drones here and there. The third base is completely exposed, but JonSnow needs to focus on saturating his natural first. He's getting a Queens now, so he'll be able to spread grief. Lings are actually going to pick off a few adepts. This is very nice for JonSnow. Going to want to not take any counter attack damage from this. These adepts taking sort of the best fight possible, though. And now these Lings are going to have to run away, but 2 Void Rays just for PiLiPiLi, so he can't exactly get tons of damage done, as a few Queens will be able to hold that off. But now we see 2 more Void Rays on the way for PiLiPiLi. So he might just throw up a couple more gateways, or maybe get a Robo Bay and just go for 1 large attack with these Void Rays, or maybe he'll just commit to mass early Sky Tech. I believe it's going to be sort of like a 2-punch attack, though, with adepts with Void Rays once he gets these other Void Rays out here. No third base for PiLiPiLi yet. He might be moving out to get that, but for now he just seems to be content. Knows he's in a good position. He's got these Oracles for Revelations. He knows the third base isn't saturated and that Johnson's not on the best economy. Now we're going to see these 2 Void Rays are going to move in. He's going to be able to Prismatic Align, pick off an Overlord or 2 maybe. That seems to be his choice. Just going for really anything he can. This one Queen can sort of push the Void Rays back for a bit. Scorecaller is moving up. The Queen is working away on one of those Void Rays, so they will have to back off here. But those other 2 Void Rays are coming out. Oh, there's actually a 3, so he's gotten up to 5 now. While all that's been going on, so building up a very scary Void Ray count, and JonSnow is going to have to continuously produce Queens to deal with this. As Void Rays, they got a bit of a movement speed buff in patch 3.8, so they're more scary, but now we actually see JonSnow's committing across the map. It looked like PiLiPiLi was going to be the aggressor here, only on 2 bases, but JonSnow is deciding he's going to try to push onto PiLiPiLi, and this could be a massive overcommitment for JonSnow if he's not careful. If these Void Rays manage to kill off these Queens, the Ravagers are going to be very critical to support these Queens, but if these Queens fall, these Void Rays will just clean everything up. Queens can transfuse so many times because they've built up a large count of energy, so these Void Rays are going to have to be careful. More Void Rays on the way, Adepts out, so it's going to be very tough for PiLiPiLi, for JonSnow to break this. But PiLiPiLi is not going to simply be able to engage this. He's going to have to be smart about doing this. These Void Rays want to take it out, but if he eats Corrosive Biles, the Queens will be able to shred through these Void Rays quickly. We see some Corrosive Bile raining down. Going to just force these Void Rays back. One of them getting picked off, well, getting shot at by these Queens, getting very low. These Void Rays losing shields, but PiLiPiLi keeping them all alive. He's up to 8 Void Rays now. This is a significant number. 8 Void Rays versus 12 Queens. So all the Queens for JonSnow just wandering across the map. Transfuse is going to have to be spammed to save this one Queen here. JonSnow trying to break this position here, but it is going to be very tough. These Adepts are just sitting back. They're like, well, I mean, it's not... Adepts are not the best at fighting Queens or Ravagers, and there's not too many Lings, so these Adepts are just going to have to be more of a buffer for PiLiPiLi, it seems. We now see the Void Rays are going to engage here. Ravagers are going to be spamming Crows as well, but not really on the Void Rays here. The Void Rays, with their movement speed buffer, managing to be micro very well by PiLiPiLi here. We see some of the Void Rays being picked off. The Queens deal great damage to them. One of them, I believe, he's now down to 5 or 6 Void Rays here, so he is losing them. But now it is just the Queens versus the Void Rays here. PiLiPiLi is seemingly going to be able to clean this up. The Adepts just getting right on top of the Queens. These Queens are staying alive for so long, though. But now JonSnow, these Queens are sort of just being trapped. PiLiPiLi, very good job pulling back these Void Rays here, not wanting to lose any of them. And now JonSnow is Plummevision supply. He never saturated his third base. Now he's getting up a lair, but this is a very late transition, and it seems that PiLiPiLi has held. And now he's likely just going to be able to push across the map. That critical mass of Queens fell, so now JonSnow's at half the army supply. He's got a good ling count, but Adepts and Void Rays are going to be very tough to be cleaned up here. There's 4 Queens, there's 2 Spore Crawlers coming down, but it seems that these Spores are going to be able to be caught off guard. The Void Rays have taken a bit of hull damage, so they are not in the best health right now, but there is still only 4 Queens and there's 6 Void Rays. They can go to the main base. These Adepts and Void Rays can pull JonSnow out of position, and these Adepts actually killing off a Spore Crawler there. The Mothership Core even joining in case PiLiPiLi needs to recall, and he is going to do that. So JonSnow actually managed to hold that attack there. Very well done by JonSnow. PiLiPiLi, his Void Rays were weak, so he had a bit of trouble making that attack work. Now, PiLiPiLi is going to go out for that full-on Protoss commitment, though, to this Fleet Beacon. He's getting this Fleet Beacon. He'll be transitioning into likely carriers. He's just going to continuously build Voids, establish that air control, and hold it as long as he can until he does get these Void Rays. Now that we see JonSnow, he's sort of saturating his third base, it looks like, slowly but surely. But now we see these Void Rays for PiLiPiLi. They're looking to snipe a base. PiLiPiLi actually got +1 attack for these Void Rays, so they will be able to snipe buildings very, very quickly here. And he's actually just going to snipe the lair, and this is actually huge for PiLiPiLi. He picks it off, he's got the Mothership Core, he can always recall if he needs, so that's one of JonSnow's hatcheries. While it was almost mined out, the lair was spreading creep to these important buildings. PiLiPiLi is going to need to respread that to stop them from dying slowly or rebuild a hatchery very quickly. Now, Hydras are on the menu for JonSnow right now. He's just transferred his drones. He's going to start producing Hydras to be able to deal with these Void Rays. Hydras are incredibly good versus Void Rays, but carriers are starting to build up for PiLiPiLi. Both of these players not in the best economic position. PiLiPiLi is arguably in a better spot though right now, as he has more workers. He killed off JonSnow's main base, and he sort of has the better attack. It's going to be a slow build up to carriers. JonSnow might just try to go for one sort of all-in attack here when he builds up enough Hydras to break this. But PiLiPiLi right now, he's building up 3 carriers, so it is going to be very tough for JonSnow to deal with this right now. We see the Queens and Hydras are able to push away these Void Rays. PiLiPiLi just sort of like a shark swimming around JonSnow trying to get anything he can, and JonSnow is just trapped on these 2 bases right now. The natural isn't going to last forever. He's getting +1 attack, and I believe he's just going to make as many Queens as he can. He's going to get that +1 attack and then make more Hydras, and then just go for what I can only assume is going to be one big attack. Either that, or he's going to have to try and secure another expansion and try to get some answer to these carriers. You see these Void Rays moving in, just right-clicking on the hatchery. The Queens are spamming Transfuse, and the Void Rays are going to be pushed back. But man, that hatchery, if JonSnow was not on his game right there, he certainly would have lost it. Void Rays need to be careful here, but with good micro, they can always go for pickups here, and it seems that he's actually going to do that. He's just flying straight past the third base. He's going to head towards the natural here. All of these exposed overlords, the exposed hatchery, and these units are not going to be able to get there in time for JonSnow. These Void Rays are just going to wreak carnage. Overlords just falling. It's going to be very costly to rebuild this, and these Void Rays are just shredding everything. How many Void Rays is he up to? 11 right now. They are a bit trapped here. They're sort of in an awkward situation with these Hydras and Queens shooting at them, but they are just going to sort of slide by here, not taking too much damage, not really losing any. He might lose one Void Ray, and he does, but then PiLiPiLi recalls, so he keeps them alive there. JonSnow's been building up in supply very, very slowly. He's now getting up a 4th base. Well, what would be his 4th base? But PiLiPiLi, he's still kept these Void Rays alive. He's got all these Adepts on the ground. He made so many Adepts just to defend that attack, so they're just there in case he needs them. And Adepts are very good versus Hydras. So Adepts, Carriers, Void Rays, Hydras, Sentries, I think it's going to be very tough for JonSnow to break this. He's got all these Queens, so he will be able to push into this, but he needs to be careful not to get Force Fields here. Picking off Interceptors, there is only 3 carriers, it looks like, for JonSnow. He's actually up to 5, but the rest just joining the fight right now. We actually see an engagement going down. These Interceptors are being picked off by all these Hydras. The Roaches mainly took the blunt of that fight there for JonSnow, so he actually kept his Hydras and Queens alive, which is very critical. But now we see PiLiPiLi is maxed. He's got 3 more carriers to make, and then he'll be at the ultimate Protoss Death Ball as far as it goes. JonSnow's going to have a very tough time dealing with this as he's down on supply. He's down on workers. He never really managed to resaturate. He's making Roaches. He's bringing up Spores, but to hold this position, I'm not sure if it's going to happen. It's sort of just been a slow death for JonSnow. He's going to try and make something happen here, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to. You see these Queens are moving forward. 2 of them just get shredded instantly, trying to transfuse, but can't transfuse quick enough. This is just so much damage from all these carriers. The Hydras are fighting the Interceptors, and they actually kill off a good number of them, so that was quite good for JonSnow, but he paid the price with quite a few Queens there. The Ravagers could get some critical corrosive battles, but now there's no more Ravagers left, so this situation is just getting worse for JonSnow. He's trying to trade with the Interceptors, but very hard to do that in a cost-efficient manner. No Interceptors really left for PiLiPiLi, but JonSnow can't push up this ramp. PiLiPiLi is just going to rebuild all those Interceptors there. And this situation is just getting worse for JonSnow. He's got up that extra hatchery, but he's not really resaturated on workers. Now we see these Adepts might actually just shade on top of these Hydras. No, PiLiPiLi, he's in a very great situation. He's building up to carriers. JonSnow, there isn't too much he can do about it right now. He's trying to hold his position right above PiLiPiLi's base for whatever reason. But now we see PiLiPiLi looks like he's going to push in. There's a decent concave for JonSnow, but these Interceptors are just going to wreak havoc on portions of these Hydras. And now the main fight's going down. It looks like JonSnow is going to bleed off all of his units here. And that's pretty much it. That's GG. JonSnow taps out there. PiLiPiLi wins in the Psystorm. In the Psystorm battle there. And that's actually one thing that I've never mentioned before in this cast, the amount of games that JonSnow and PiLiPiLi have played. If you follow sort of the local North American tournaments, these two are actually pretty big rivals, and they're always taking off other games. Now, I know they did play more games, so I might cast some of them. So, if you guys enjoyed the cast, feel free to leave some feedback. It's been a while since I did one, so hopefully I'm not too rusty or anything like that. But if you do have feedback, feel free to let me know. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like. Otherwise, I shall see you next time.